following public service announcement is being brought to you by the good folks that support the dope. It's told by D2G and Red Young. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's all with something like a phenomenon. It's food for thought for those starving through Ramadan. Nothing less than the best, that's what you rockin' with. So take notes on this newness, cause you'll be jockin' in. Precious of the bunch, plenty game that we put you on. Fashion, music, we give it to the goods gone. Keeping up with the time, so you'll be in the know. Nothing but exclusives, heads up on who's next to blow. It's only dopeness we give to the masses. And promise guaranteed, ain't no pushing the whackness. So say your theatrics for plays if you've been a hater. Plus the lovely Carly Brown's your facilitator. Lead the water when we bring that fire. Here's the industry biz #1 supplier. Boy, them other stations don't want no smoke. Keep your ears tuned in and support the dope. Yo, looking at my clock and it's about that time. 7:30 Central when we hit online. And we coming to you live from the ghost. So tell your people settle in and support the dope. Yo, looking at my clock and it's about that time. 7:30 Central when we hit online. And we coming to you live from the ghost. So tell your people settle in and support the dope for sure.
You are now tuned in to Support the Dope Radio, which was designed to give a platform to the best, most talented, and dopest artists in the city of Chicago and equip them with the power to tell their own story in their own words. Today is Tuesday, March 14th, 2017, and you are listening to Season 2, Episode 6. I am your host, your girl CB, aka CB Radio, if you didn't know. And tonight's guest, born and raised on the south side of Chicago, she is a vocalist, both sultry and powerful, sweet and funky. Having started her solo career in 2007, she has opened for the likes of Dwele, Avery Sunshine, Jon B, and the Velvelettes of the legendary Motown Records. She has also performed background vocals for the likes of Eminem and the OJs. I am honored to introduce to you tonight the lovely Miss Meagan McNeal. Hey, Meagan. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very honored to have you on the show.
I am honored to be on the show. Thanks so much for asking me.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking about when I first heard you perform, and that probably had to be, I don't know, maybe about 2 years ago now, at Refuge. And I don't know if you remember this. And I think you were doing a Jill Scott. You know, Royce normally had like the one artist versus another, and I think you were doing the Jill Scott songs that night, perhaps it was. And shout out to LeRoyce Hawkins, because Refuge Sundays was so major then, and I think a lot of people don't really know he was responsible for curating a lot of those artists that came through Refuge on Refuge Sundays. And I heard you singing, and Jill Scott's one of my favorite artists, and the show was over, and I remember going up to Royce, and I was like, who is that? Because I have to meet her. Who is she? And I make sure she doesn't run away, so after the show, he was like, yes, please go talk to her. So that's the first time I came and talked to you.
Yeah, well, I remember that show, and yeah, that's always Refuge's.
Uh-oh, I think we lost Meagan. All right, Meagan, are you there? I'm sorry, we cut out for just a second. You were saying something about Refuge.
Hello?
Yeah. You know what, it seems like we have a bad connection, so I'm going to disconnect the call and call you right back. So listeners, hang tight, because I want to make sure you hear all of Meagan's answers. So give us just one moment. Be right back. Okay, we're back. You're listening to Support the Dope Radio. We were having some technical difficulties with the connection here for our guest tonight. So we definitely want to make sure that you guys are able to hear me and hear her. Meagan, are you there?
I am.
Good. And I hope that it works for us this time. So just before we had to get that fixed, we were talking about Refuge Sundays and that performance there.
Oh, yeah. I was saying that I always enjoy that space and the people that I meet there. I remember that gig, and, of course, Jill Scott I love her. I love her artistry. So when folks ask me to do Jill, I'm honored. And I remember that night. So, yeah. I didn't know it was that long ago, though. Geez, 2 years, it seems like yesterday.
Yeah, time flies. I get those Facebook memories that pop up for me every day now, and it really makes me think on how long ago things actually were. So it's a blessing and a curse.
Right, exactly. They always pop up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so much thinner 7 years ago. Just stay away.
Right. Some of them I don't want to see. Let's keep the pictures,
right.
Yeah. So this is my first time getting a chance to interview you. So I definitely want to get a full kind of background on, where your story began, and for the listeners as well that may not be, as familiar with you. So take us back. I know that your story is much like, any other, artist as far as you getting started at an early age. How old were you when you started singing?
So I was 9, actually, and that was the first time that I ever sang in public, and it really started because I wanted to be a bridesmaid for my aunt's wedding. Mm-hmm. But she was like, yeah, no, girl, we're not doing all that, buying all the dresses, and, bridesmaids, that stuff is expensive. So she was like, but if you want to be in my wedding, you can sing a song. And they asked me to sing Stevie Wonder's You and I. So that was the first time that I sang in public. The minister of music at the time, Jerry P. Radford, he heard me, and then I joined the choir, and the rest, as they say, is history. Yes. So I've been singing ever since.
So who were some of your influences, like a younger Meagan? Like who was Meagan? I mean, for you, did you choose the Stevie Wonder song that you sang, or did someone else pick that for you?
No, my aunt and my uncle, they chose that song, but I grew up listening to a lot of Stevie. Really, my family had a very diverse musical palette. Everyone from Dakota Staten on the jazz scene, Steve Vai, who's a phenomenal guitarist. My mom is madly in love with Stevie Wonder, and so she had him spending all the time. OJ's, Earth, Wind and Fire, Ella, I mean, you name it, we probably heard it. Phil Collins. It was just good music all the time in my house, especially on Saturdays when we had to clean up. It wasn't cartoons on Saturday. It was open up the windows, get the bleach, grab a bucket, start cleaning, and play good music,
Yes, that sounds like our house too. So it definitely sounds like, because you were listening to, so many artists that came, many, many years, before you, that kind of helped develop your sound. When did you know that you wanted to sing, like really take singing seriously and not something that you were just doing, like at weddings and stuff?
Right. It's funny you should say, because I know the exact date.
Wow.
So I sang in the choir at church, and I did maybe like one talent show in high school. And I'm actually sitting here with one of my best friends from high school, so she probably remembers that. We did one high school talent show, and then when I got to college, I really didn't sing so much. I joined the gospel choir, but we didn't do that many, you call them ministry trips or whatever. But one day I was chilling with some friends, and I don't even know how this happened, but we found out that everybody played something, and they didn't know that I sang, and we just had like a little jam session in the living room, and I was like, how could we have been friends all this time? I don't know that you play instruments. You don't know that I sing. We should put together a show. So some good friends of mine in Kalamazoo, where I went to college, owned a nonprofit that provided space for people to just be genuinely and authentically themselves, and they provided me the space to hold a concert on, it was August 18th, 2007, and we called it Sentimental Soul Sessions Volume 1. And before that, prior to that, I really hadn't made money singing. You know, Auntie would slip you a little $5 here, a little $10 there. But I remember that night we had folks come out. I made $75. Carla, you could not tell me I wasn't rich. Right. With $75 in college, girl. I was like, wait a minute, hold up. You can make money doing something that we would have done for free in the living room anyway. And Michelle Johnson, who was the executive director of FIRE at the time, she really drove home the teachings of a passion-driven economy, and her planting that in my spirit, coupled with them offering that space, and then me making that $75, I was like, oh yeah, this is it. I mean, why would I do anything else? And that's what I knew.
Nice. Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do something that you love and have people pay you for it, right? Like, that's something a lot of people unfortunately don't get to ever experience, you know, in their life, whether it's because they just chose not to pursue it or someone told them they couldn't do it, but to be able to be paid to do what you love is such a blessing. So
absolutely. And I count it as I couldn't even begin to describe the honor that I count it as, because I do realize that it is a gift, and that, you know, I'm very blessed because of it. And really is not, I mean, maybe we could get into this another day, but it's really not about me. So the money truly is secondary to the joy that I feel, just being able to, I couldn't imagine a day without singing, honestly. I wake up, I'm not the kind of person that's just running around the house singing everything, you know, like, oh, I'm washing dishes and I'm singing, and I'm, you know, but it's such a release for me that if I have a sore throat or strep throat or something, and I'm like, I can't sing, I feel trapped and imprisoned. You know what I mean?
Right,
so,
right.
You know, I'm very grateful, very, very grateful.
Yeah, well, it comes across in your live shows, you know, you're... From my, you know, perspective anyway, you're not really an artist that's just going to get behind the mic and just sing a song that kind of seems like you're singing it to yourself and, you know, say your thank yous and your goodbyes. You're very good at, you know, engaging the audience and making the connection with the audience. And I think that's got to come from the love that you feel and the joy that you get from doing it.
Thanks, Carla. I'm glad to know that's how it's, you know, you never know because you're on stage and it's a very vulnerable place, and you never know how it's reaching. But so thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, I'm watching you, girl. Do you, well, I guess, you know, live, since you do perform live, that you do enjoy it. Do you, because I know some artists actually prefer being in the studio to doing a live show. Do you prefer, you know, a live show, or do you prefer to be in recording?